Hello, America, FBI and CIA agents, and fellow cult members. Welcome to Culture Club USA. Now, I like to title my shows, so I think we'll call this one Gilded Greed, a New York DA's quest to pull off a $1 billion heist. Now, in today's broadcast, we are going to tackle the ongoing simmering sagas, A Tale of Two Cities. These cities stand as shining beacons of America's culture, Atlanta and New York City. Let's begin with Letitia James, the high-profile district attorney from New York City who just won an epic $250 million liable fraud case against our former president, Donald J. Trump. Or did she? Now, let's envision this. Letitia James, after a long, grueling, epic chronicle, spanning sleepless nights, turning into months and eventually years of investigations, legal setbacks, endless plane flights, and countless hotels where mountains of paperwork morphed into hours of jury selections, then months of a televised trial where Letitia stood tall in a pair of size 14 custom red bottom heels in a packed courtroom surrounded by an evil white courtroom gallery. Evil white defense attorneys, evil white impartial jurors, and even an evil white stenographer. And she looked into the cold, evil blue eyes of Donald Trump and said, "I told you we'd meet again. Remember me? I tried to get on The Apprentice 7 times. I even sent you a personal audition tape. And from that day forward, I promised myself that you would know my name. I am Letitia James. I am important, I am special, and I am worthy. Onward." Okay, let's get serious here. The reality of this situation is that there was no jury selection because there was no jury. And why would you need a jury if there was no trial? That's right. This massive $250 million judgment against Donald Trump was ruled with no trial by a judge who wouldn't allow it to get there. Now, why do you even need a DA if the outcome is this certain? Why do I say the outcome was certain, you ask? Well, because the fix was already in. Check out this footage of a 2018 Letitia James campaign video, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Play the clip.
America is an uncharted territory. We are angrier and more deeply divided than we've ever been at any point in our history since the Civil War. And at the eye of the storm is Donald Trump, ripping families apart, threatening women's most basic rights, and running for Attorney General because I will never be afraid to challenge this illegitimate president, to efforts to deport immigrants, colluding with foreign powers, putting profits over people.
Well, if you're slow on the uptake, Letitia James ran for her seat as New York District Attorney on a platform that Donald Trump was an illegitimate president and that he colluded with foreign powers, with a video of him sitting next to Vladimir Putin. So she was saying he colluded with Russia? Got it. Before we move forward, check out this other short compilation of Letitia's stance on Trump. Play that clip.
Sue him for us? Oh, we're going to definitely sue him. We're going to be a real pain in the ass. I will never be afraid to challenge this illegitimate president. We need to focus on Donald Trump. We need to follow his money. What is fueling my soul right now is Trump.
This illegitimate president. I look forward to going into the office of Attorney General every day, suing him and then going home.
Okay, Now that you can see who and what we're dealing with here, it all begins to fall into place. The grounds for this case is that Donald Trump was massively overvaluing his wealth and assets to gain favorable advantages with financiers and insurers. I saw this and I said, okay, let me look into this and see what Donnie actually did in these accused dirty deeds. Here's the problem. It all comes down to conjecture. And I think it's easy to side with Donald Trump in this case, and here's why. In the case, the evaluation of his Florida estate is $18 million. Now, that might be the town tax assessor's evaluation of the property, but any human adult with close to a, ninth grade education knows that a tax assessment and the actual value of a property are not one and the same. In a tweet by Eric Trump about the ruling, he argues that the judge's evaluation of Mar-a-Lago is nowhere close to the estate's actual worth. He says, and I quote, "In an attempt to destroy my father and kick him out of New York, a judge just ruled that Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida, is only worth approximately $18 million. Mar-a-Lago is speculated to be worth well over $1 billion, making it arguably the most valuable residential property in the country. It is also corrupt and coordinated," unquote. Now, Trump actually put its value at between $426.5 million to $612.1 million in his filings. And as a person whom has spent time in Palm Beach, I can tell you that Mar-a-Lago wouldn't survive 30 seconds on the real estate market for $18 million. Which begs the question, why would Letitia James and Judge Arthur play such a dirty game? I mean, they have to know how real estate works. And if they don't, do you know who does? The banks and insurers that Letitia James says Trump defrauded. I think there's a bit of jealousy here, if you really look through the cracks, just a bit. I mean, that's right, Letitia. That Chinatown Special Anniversary Edition Louis Vuitton boy bag knockoff that you haggled for $88 is worth nothing. But you're mad at Donald Trump. Well, no, you can't now sell it on eBay for $1,000 because it's worth nothing. And those blazers and slacks that you wear at your press conferences that you got at Fashion Nova that you refuse to iron, that you bought on a flash sale on Labor Day, are worth nothing. So no, you can't now sell them for $10 a piece because they're worth nothing. But you're mad at Donald Trump? See how that works? I'm sure if the bank thought Donald Trump's assessment was fraudulent, they wouldn't have given him the loans. I'll move on, but I'm sure this isn't the last time we'll be discussing Miss James. If you like the show, please like and subscribe. And if you do subscribe, let me know in the comments and I'll reply back to you. Thanks so much and see you next time. All right, now for our second segment, I think we'll call this one The Curious Case of the Overeager Vaude Villain. Political intrigue in Fulton County. So now I'm going to tackle another indictment on former President Donald J. Trump, and that's the Georgia indictment. Now, we already know about all the other indictments in Washington, D.C., Miami, and obviously New York, but something in the Fulton County case intrigued me, and that's its prosecutor, Fani Willis. Now, as the details of this indictment started to spill out into the media, so did rumors about its prosecutor, Fani Willis. But it wasn't until a Trump Super PAC ad that announced her as a member of what he calls the Fraud Squad was released And then an actual video of Trump calling her a racist while also eluding that she had an affair with a gang member, that I really started looking into all the actors in this play. Now, before we go down this political rabbit hole, let's roll the clip on that Super PAC ad. Oh, and I blame you for this one, Andy Cohen.
Meet the cast of unscrupulous accomplices he's assembled to get Trump and Biden's newest lackey, Atlanta DA, Fani Willis. So incompetent, on her watch, violent crimes had exploded. So tainted, Willis was thrown off one case for trying to prosecute a political opponent. So corrupt, Willis got caught hiding a relationship with a gang member she was prosecuting. So dishonest, Willis was accused of creating a fake subpoena. Welcome to the Fraud Squad.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Now, you've got to admit, this whole situation is setting up to be fairly entertaining. But the implications that could arise from it are a bit serious, though. If you really think about it, like instability and distrust in our government, justice, and election systems, probably leading to a civil war. And eventually, English will be an elective high school course for those that have already mastered Chinese Mandarin 1 and 2, plus shown a modest fluency in Russian. Or a global display, in 4K of course, of the type of total breakdown of nationalism, social cohesion, and unity that enemy leaders like Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping have wet dreams about as they sit on their golden toilets flipping through a copy of Communist Daily while pouring delicious whole milk onto a big, nutritious bowl of socialist flakes. So, yeah, Fannie, maybe Donnie just made a phone call, but Biden won. Fannie, I'm sure we can get past this. You think? Let's play that second clip. Oh, and I blame you for this, NeNe Leaks.
They waited, and I probably have another one. They say there's a young woman, a young racist in Atlanta. She's a racist. And they say, I guess, they say that she was after a certain gang, and she ended up having an affair with the head of the gang or a gang member. And this is a person that wants to indict me. She's got a lot of problems, but she wants to indict me to try and run for some other office. What's going on in this country is, and by the way, wants to indict me for a perfect phone call. This was even better than my perfect call with Ukraine.
Okay, here are the players. The most controversial political figure of modern times, whom his critics refer to as a racist, being prosecuted by a lawyer who he claims is a racist and happens to be the most controversial member of his self-proclaimed fraud squad. I mean, when you add on and combine all the other elements and tidbits of this story, like rappers, Black Panthers, Giuliani, Rico cases, grand jurors, house arrest, prosecution, Trump in jail, Biden wins, Kamala is president, surrender to China, and movie nights on the White House lawn sponsored by the Buddhist temple with opening remarks by Hunter Biden. The end. No, really, the end. But let's get focused here, people. A Rico case? A Rico case? The RICO Act was designed to prosecute organized crime like the mafia. And many have argued that Willis is using the law too broadly in her investigation of Trump. Critics say that she's stretching the law to fit her political agenda, while the other side feels that Trump is a first-line alternate for the casting of the four horsemen of the apocalypse, which is ironic, as the first RICO case ever prosecuted was brought against the Hells Angels motorcycle gang. But let's not get off track here. Out of all the cases brought forward by the so-called fraud squad, the only RICO case so far has been brought on by Fani Willis, which could make one ponder amongst a litany of reasons why. Well, to start, Fannie is no stranger to celebrity or her cases being in the center of the media spotlight. It would seem that she's chasing it, as one could easily forget that she's only won the job in 2021. Now, more proof of this is that she's currently prosecuting a high-profile case against a popular rapper named Young Thug and 27 others connected to his YSL media empire on, guess what? Rico charges. Now, many in the hip-hop community, like Trump supporters, have contended that the charges were also overblown. And she's also pursued and prosecuted, and you're going to love this, a group of Atlanta school teachers related to a grade cheating scandal on, you guessed it, Rico charges. Now, I think a lot of this is personal. Let's go off track here, just for a second. My theory is that Fannie got dumped in Puerto Rico by her college sweetheart whose name was Rico, and from that day forward, she vowed to use the Rico in all her cases as a cheat code. I kid. But this is serious, people. Former prosecutor Chris Timmons, speaking on Atlanta's Rico statute, told ABC News, and I quote, "Somebody could go to JCPenney, shoplift a pair of socks, walk next door to Sears and shoplift a second pair of socks, and they can be charged with Rico," unquote. Not surprisingly, Fannie has brought no fewer than 11 cases within her district since she became DA in 2021. You know what? I blame you, Jermaine Dupri, because it seems to me that Fannie may be out to make a name for herself. I think she may be out for fame. Just a little bit? Maybe? Well, I'm not the only one that might be thinking this way. I found an article on The Guardian that spouts out an actual full synopsis of a sizzling, dark, political biopic about Fani Willis's rise to power. Let's read it together. The synopsis for a Fani Willis biopic would probably go something like this. In Fulton County, the first Black woman to serve as district attorney takes on an unlikely case. Willis grew up attending court with her father, a defense attorney in Black Panther. Now, she sits on the opposite side of the courtroom, hoping to indict a former president who sought to overturn election results and often espoused white supremacist rhetoric while doing so. The film's montage would pull from real life, depicting a determined, unflappable Willis relentlessly poring over documents, leading her team through the long work hours and security risks that come with bringing an indictment against an often inflammatory former president, even as national attention on the case reached a groundswell. We'd watch her face racist threats and unsubstantiated rumors of misconduct, but she'd refuse to back down from the task at hand. She'd advocate for what she believed to be right, even if it wasn't popular. She'd appear in press conferences and in media interviews, delivering stern sound bites such as, wait, let me get my Fannie voice on. Lady Justice is actually blind. This is the reality. If you come into my community and you commit a crime, you deserve to be held responsible. Okay, people, there's something in the water here. Even The Guardian, a British-based newspaper thousands of miles away from Georgia, can see that this case isn't about the Fulton County people, the American populace as a whole, or even some sort of crusade to preserve election integrity. It's about Fani Willis. And who's to blame? I don't know. Is it Andy Cohen? For not procuring her a spot on the Real Housewives of Atlanta series? I mean, I think she'd actually be a great addition, though. Whenever she gets into a hot feud with her fellow castmates like Candy Burris or Kenya Moore, she could just hit them with Rico charges. I mean, she'd be ratings gold, Andy. Wait a minute. I can see the series finale now. Girl's trip to Puerto Rico ends in Rico. Or is it NeNe Leakes for also not helping her with an audition tape or some styling tips, or to remind her that Donald Trump is actually her friend? Or is it Atlanta-based music magnates like Jermaine Dupri, Young Jeezy, and T.I. for not somehow ushering her into the Atlanta music scene? Usher, see what I did there? I mean, she'd be great. She could record a song about Rico. It would go something like this. Rico, I'm telling you, I'm not going. You're the best thing this DA ever needs. Ain't no way she gonna let you leave. No, Rico. No, Rico, not filing without you. And Young Thug, and the teachers, and Donald Trump, and Giuliani, and gang members in Atlanta. Oh, you're gonna love me, Rico. Yeah, you're gonna love me. Okay, seriously. For peace, for nation, for unity, for solidarity, someone from the entertainment industry, please help Fani Willis get famous. Do your job. Your country needs you. I'm Debrava. Good night, America.